Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to welcome you to the 2020 edition of the annual Richard T. Greener Scholarship event. My name is Dr. Noble Anumbe, and it is my pleasure and I would say privilege on behalf of the Black Alumni Council to welcome you to this event today. So, well, to immediately begin to engage with other attendees, I would strongly recommend that you consider typing in like your location, course of study, and year of graduation in the comment section. Last year, we were together in the Alumni Center and we could interact person to person, but we don't have that ability right now. So I would want to elicit some kind of communication, camaraderie, even though it's a virtual event. So I welcome you to begin to type in all of that, and I would like you to look at what's going on to see who is on and when they graduated and all of that, if all of that information. So again, before we get started, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to Chanel Singletary, who is the president of the Black Alumni Council, and all members of the council, too numerous to mention, who generously contributed their time, skills, and connections to make this event come together. And to everyone attending, I'd like to say that we are delighted to have you with us. That many of you have taken out like the time from your busy schedules to attend serves, as a reminder to all of us about how important this brunch is. Really appreciate your attendance. I know people are tuning in from the East Coast, West Coast, and I think across the world. I'm looking at the numbers coming in right now. People from different years of graduation. We really do appreciate that. Robin Steele, 1986, and I'm saying Nika, Katie, Hembrick, Andre. I like us to keep bringing it in. So this scholarship event, otherwise referred to as the RTG Scholarship Brunch, is actually named after Richard Theodore Greener. For those of you that have been around the campus in the past few years would see that there is a statue standing in his honor just by the library right now. So who exactly was Richard T. Greener? He was like the first African-American student to graduate from Harvard College, which is like the undergraduate program of the Harvard University. And this was way back in 1870. We go really back. He was the first Black faculty at a Southern white college, which wasn't something that was typical in his day. And he was the first African-American faculty at the University of South Carolina. At the University of South Carolina, he served several purposes, right? He lectured in different capacities and ended up as a librarian that actually helped, set up a whole lot of things in the library after the war. While he was at the university, he attended the law school there and eventually became the dean of the School of Law at Howard University. He was also the first Black diplomat to a white country that was sometime that was in Russia. So he did a lot of diplomatic work. And some of his earliest writings and presentations and debates actually set the tone for W.B. Du Bois's Niagara movement, which was a precursor to the NAACP, creation of the NAACP. He eventually drafted many of the resolutions of the NAACP and did a lot of civil rights work. He, as you would have noticed with the mention of the NAACP, he was a friend to W.B. Du Bois, Booker T. Washington, and he also lived in the same era. You had people like Elian Locke, who is noted as the father of the Harlem Renaissance, and Mary Ann Sherd, who was the first Black woman publisher in North America, and overall the first woman publisher in Canada. I was reading about her a few days ago, and I noticed she graduated at the age of 60, and she did a lot of phenomenal work, around civil rights. And the overall purpose of the scholarship that we are all attending right now is actually to celebrate Black alumni and students' excellence, right, during the homecoming and to encourage financial support to shore up the Richard T. Grainer Scholarship, for which a lot of students have been beneficiaries so far. I'm hoping at some point it will be a trust of sorts that can that will be self-sustainable. Again, thank you every one of you for being here with us today. I would like to kick off the event by acknowledging the presence of several distinguished guests, which would include the President Caslen, who is the president and the head of the state's flagship university. We want to acknowledge the presence of Dr. William Tate, who is the provost and executive vice president of academic affairs, and also Julian Williams, who is the first vice president for diversity, equity, and inclusion. But the president is going to offer some remarks to us during this event. But before introducing the president, I want to do a brief mention of Dr. William Tate. And he was with us a few weeks ago and did a phenomenal job where we actually had a lot of discussion online and elsewhere for the work he did. And we are heartened that he's with us today in this event. So Dr. William Tate is actually the Provost and Executive Vice President of Academic Affairs at the University of South Carolina. He holds the USC Education Foundation Distinguished Professorship with appointments in sociology and family and preventive medicine. We welcome Dr. Tate and thank you for joining us. I'll now have the honor of introducing the head of our Gamecock family and the 29th president of the University of South Carolina, President Bob Caslen. Now, President Caslen is a retired Army Lieutenant General and former Superintendent and President of the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. During his time at West Point, the Academy was recognized as the nation's #1 public college by U.S. News and World Report and Forbes magazine. After retiring from the Army in 2018, President Caslen became the senior counsel to the president at the University of Central Florida and served as the interim chief financial officer. Caslen grew up in Vermont, where he worked in his family's ski lodge business and was on the high school ski and football teams. From there, he was recruited to play football at West Point, along with his bachelor's degree from West Point. Caslen holds an MBA in finance from Long Island University and a master's in industrial engineering from Kansas State University. He and his wife, Shelley, have been married for 42 odd years and have 3 sons and 4 grandkids. Thank you, President Caslen, for taking out the time to celebrate homecoming with us. I'd like to hand over the platform to you.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Anumbe. And let me just add my welcome to all of you for this different homecoming experience. I know it's different, it's virtual. We're all constrained by COVID, but I'll tell you, there's a bunch of students and faculty that are not necessarily constrained. They're resilient. They have found a way to persevere through this, and I give them a lot of credit. I'll tell you what, this is a really, truly an honor to talk with you. I remember sharing some comments with you a year ago and on a couple other different forums. And I've got, I think, all of 5 minutes, and then I've got another 5 minutes for questions. And then we're going to bring in folks that you really need to hear from, is Dr. Tate and our new Vice President for Diversity, Inclusion, and Equity, Julian Williams. So we're looking forward to having them as part of this afternoon's presentation. What I want to really talk about a little bit about is our new strategic plan, its vision and its mission statement. And it's got 8 priorities, but one priority specifically that addresses diversity and a campus climate that allows that type of diversity to flourish and to thrive. The vision statement for this strategic plan is that the University of South Carolina is the preeminent flagship university in the nation. So when I first rolled that out and we started having conversation with deans and other direct reports about the best in the nation, the first reaction was, well, what about the Penn States? And what about the Ohio States? And what about the Michigan States? They've got incredible research programs. They have the best faculty in the nation, you know, and how can we compare with them? And I said, first, don't sell yourself short. You have the #1 business college in America. international business, supply chain management, exercise science, the best honors college in America. And the best first year experience. So we got our share of first. Don't sell yourself short. But what's going to make us preeminent is how we serve the people of the state of whom we are the flagship of, the state of South Carolina. And I'll tell you, in this regard, the first way that we're going to serve the people of the state of South Carolina is that we need to at least represent them. We need to look like them. For example, in the area of African Americans, the state of South Carolina is 27%, and our student body sitting at 9.5%, which we're hugely underrepresented if we're going to reflect those whom we serve as a flagship. And complicating it even further is that our faculty is 4.5%. So we have some work to do to address our representative. And the issue in representation is not necessarily just reputation, because that's tremendously important. The bigger issue is trust. Because as we develop a relationship with our client, the people of South Carolina, that's got to be a relationship where they trust us, we trust them. And trust doesn't happen automatically just because we're there. Trust happens because you earned it. And one of the ways to earn trust is to represent those whom you serve. Because if you fail to represent those whom you serve, it's just hard to get that trust in there. So this is one of the reasons we're looking at South Carolina as a preeminent flagship. Our mission statement is simply to transform lives. There's some caveats to that. It says to transform lives of people of South Carolina and the students where they come from, wherever they are across the nation or the world. But they will do that through empowering education, innovative research, creative engagement, impactful economic development, and selfless service within an inclusive and diverse environment. So I wanted to be sure that we included that environment, because the environment sets the setting, it sets the conditions. It sets the atmosphere for growth to occur. If you have an environment that is conflicted, or if you have an environment that is polarized, it's very hard to gain development. You want to have an environment that encourages growth and development, and that's the environment that is defined by inclusive and diverse. So that's part of our mission statement. We have 8 priorities. Priority number 1 talks about the students that we have, and in there we address the importance of diversity in getting a representative student body for the state of South Carolina. Priority number 2 is faculty and staff. Priority number 3 is research. There's no reason, we're a Carnegie R1 research, which isn't all that bad, but there's no reason why we can't be included in some of the best research universities in this nation, and we need to move in that direction. And number 4 is diversity. And I'm going to take just a minute or two to dive into that just for a second. 5 shows that where we are with respect to the system, because we're one university in a system of, because I'm dual-hatted as the president of the University of Columbia, but also president of the University of South Carolina system, which includes upstate, Aiken, Beaufort, the 4 2-year regionals, and the degree completion. And it also will also include in priority 5 the growth of an online program that will really focus on reaching South Carolinians, particularly those who have attended, the 50,000 of them who have attended college and did not get a degree, but now don't have the ability to come back to residence, but still have some desire to get a degree. And plus our military colleagues at Fort Jackson, Fort Gordon, Fort Shaw Air Force Base, Parris Island, that surround the city surround the state. And they may not be able to be in residence, but they have a desire to further their education, and they're very transient, which means they're probably going to be there just for maybe 1, 2, or at most 3 years, and they're going to need to take education with them. 6 talks about our partnerships within the community and economic development. 7 talks about our infrastructure. And 8 talks about excellence as us as individuals, and excellence as us as teams, and the teams, both athletic teams, academic teams, or whatever. Included in that, by the way, in excellence as team is beating Clemson. And we started showing that and demonstrating that this weekend because, we won against Auburn, which was a great game, as you know. But at the same time, you were watching the Clemson-Georgia Tech game, and they just put a beating on Georgia Tech. So Clemson's for real, but I'll tell you what, our team is for real, and they're getting better every week. Let me kind of take the last few minutes that I have and dive into this priority number 4, because I think it's important that I share this with you, and this is tremendously important for all of us. So here's what priority 4 is: to cultivate a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive campus culture where every individual, regardless of their background, has a full opportunity to flourish and thrive. And in priority 4, we created 3 goals. I'm going to walk you through the goals and a couple of programs that support that goal and the metric, and so that you see that this is not words. This is important. What I'm about to say is very important. We don't want to put words and just to put words against this problem. We want to put programs and we want to put money to support the programs against the problem. It's one thing to say something, it's another thing to get it done. And you'll see in this plan, it is not designed just to say the right things. It is also designed to have the right programs and the money to support the programs. Okay, so as I said, priority 4 is to cultivate a more diverse, equitable, inclusive campus culture. Goal 1 is focused on diversity, to improve the relative racial, ethnic, and gender representation of our students, staff, and faculty. Goal 2 is focused on equitability, to ensure there's equitable access for our students, staff, and faculty across key measures of success. And goal 3 is inclusiveness, which talks about creating and promoting support and assess a campus culture climate that embodies the values of our Carolinian creed and makes every member of the university feel they are affirmed and valued. So goal number 1, again, talks about diversity to improve the relative racial, ethnic, and gender representation. So we have 4 programs in this objective. Let me just walk you through them real quick. I'm doing this to illustrate, not to really dig into it, but to illustrate that we are putting programs and we're putting resources, so there is teeth to this as we address this problem. Program number 1, develop and expand our pipeline programs. For example, the University of Possibilities, focused on preparing and inspiring students in K through 12 to attend the university. This is a program that puts our college students into K through 12 across the state. And we will have mentorship programs with them. We'll go in there and do leadership seminars, and we'll develop relationships with them, and we will become like role models and mentors to inspire them to want to go to higher education and to come to our university. For example, the metric: by 2022, undergraduate African American enrollment on the Columbia campus will increase from where it currently is at 9.5% to 15%. With the goal of approaching the state's 27% African American demographic by 2025. So that's a pretty bold that metric, but that's the metric that is going to hold us accountable to the work we're about to do. Program number 2, develop a targeted recruitment campaign for prospective undergraduate, graduate, and professional students from underrepresented groups. The metric: there will be yearly increases in the number and percentage of residents in state that are underrepresented students enrolled, with a goal of reaching 30% of the resident freshman class and 25% of the total graduate and professional enrollment by 2025. I'd be glad to get all of this to you, and I know I'm running out of time and exceeding my time, and I do want to take a couple questions. But that's, those are the programs that we have that address goal number 1. If I can talk about being, some of the programs for goal number 2, which is equitable, to ensure that there's equitable access. The first objective is to improve the academic outcomes for students from underrepresented, low-income, and marginalized groups. So we have 3 programs that are looking at this, with each one with a metric. For example, program number 1 is to increase participation among undergraduate students from underrepresented, low-income, other marginalized groups and high impact practices by enhancing the availability of and the access to and support for internships, study abroad, which are grant funded, and research and other experiential learning opportunities. So this is how we address that. And the metric is by 2025, double our participation in these high impact practices among students from underrepresented, low impact groups. And then another program is increase the capacity, and you may be familiar with this one, the Grace Jordan McFadden Professors Program and the Southern Regional Education Board Program, to support more doctoral student participants. Okay, I can walk you through all that. I don't want to take all the time to do it, but my point there again is that very deliberate goals and objectives and programs and the resources to support the programs. And we'll be glad to report on this every year on how on the progress we're making and how we are with respect to our metrics, and we'll be glad to do that. Let me just say, key to a lot of this, and especially in the K through 12 system in the state of South Carolina, is to not only increase accessibility so that we have more students who have a desire to come to higher education, have committed themselves and have the grades and the standardized test scores, but really to address affordability issues and challenges as well. It's one thing for a student who is qualified for admission, but it's another thing to ensure that he or she has the funding available to come here. So those are need-based scholarships, and this is something that we are really working on very hard. Unfortunately, we actually had a bill that was that we had strongly suggested that the legislature would sponsor. They did. The bill was going to expand our need-based to use a certain percentage of money for need-based education. Right now, I'm limited to only use 4% of my tuition money for need-based scholarships. And I can only use them for poverty level groups throughout the state of South Carolina. The bill that we had encouraged to address was going to take the 4% and expand it twice to 8%. That means more of my money was going to be allowed to be used for need-based scholarship, and to expand it to the eligibility population from poverty level to poverty level times 2, which really increases the availability of those who can receive it by a significant amount. That was a bill that was going to be introduced until COVID came and the General Assembly all went home and they just did a continuing resolution. So we will reintroduce that next year. But that's one of the ways that we want to get after this. And there's a number of other ways. The work that you do, for example, and the support of the Richard T. Greener Scholarship Program is something that you've been doing in this area for 40 years. And I cannot say enough how important that is. And there are some incredible young men and women that would love to come to this university and that would thrive in this university, but simply can't come, and they have dismissed it because they just don't have the resources to come. And what a real crying shame that is. But we want to make it available so that those young men and women who aspire to go to higher education, want to be a Gamecock, and to find ways where they can afford to do that. And that's what we want to do. So this is important for us as well. And the last thing I would just say is that I'm really glad that Dr. Tate's with us and Julian Williams are with us. I'm also proud to say that another hire that was very, very important to our team is our Vice President of Communication, Larry Thomas. And Larry Thomas is a graduate of the university. He also has given back to the university. We got him from an oil company. What is it? I forget what's on the tip of my tongue, but he's doing a phenomenal job. And but I'm proud to say that, you know, these are 3 men that I am very, very proud of, and they are African American, by the way. And I'm really proud to have them on as members of the team. And we just hired a vice president for development because we're going into our campaign in a couple of years, and it's a woman by the name of Monica DeLucy. So we're very proud to have her on board as well. Dr. Noble Anumbe, I think that kind of finishes my allotted time, and I'll be glad to take any questions that anybody might have for this afternoon in the time period that you're allowed to give me. But thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, President Caslen, and it's incredible, hearing everything you've said. And for me, one of the things that hits home is the whole idea of annual accountability, to be able to, come check up on you. We really do appreciate that. I'm looking at the comments, and one of the people here, Nika White, she says, "I love the bill idea. That can be a real great game changer." So we would really want you to keep pushing on that. The last time I checked, I think it was the fireside chat with the chief executive officer of the Alumni Association with Wes. I remember there was something you said there that actually hit home. It was the whole idea of, you talked with Julian Williams, who is the vice president of diversity, and the whole point was around the idea of hiring more underrepresented people, from professors from the underrepresented and minority groups. And your approach to it is, what do you need? And we really do appreciate the fact that it's not just talk, but you're putting some teeth to these policies and policy actions. We appreciate that. So in terms of questions, I have one here from Gil. Um, he says, what's the suggested approach for alumni to provide advocacy to the legislature to pass the bill that was referenced? Is there a way we can help push and provide some kind of support to create some kind of groundswell of support to make this pass?
We will get you that information. Gosh, I forget some names. The lady who we asked to sponsor the bill was Gilda.
Okay.
I forget her last name. You would know it if you would recognize it right away if I can remember. Anyway,
okay.
She was wonderful, and then she worked with the Speaker of the House,
okay.
And the Speaker of the House also pushed it through, and it was going to be part and going to get approved. We let us get the information. So once we, they're going to come back into session for a short time just to pass a continuing resolution. Then they're going to come back in January for their normal legislative period. So when they come back for their normal legislative period, that's when we want to reintroduce this again. As soon as we do, we should get the information to all of you so that when we do, you can immediately start making phone calls to state legislators, representatives, and encourage them to take this bill and support it.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate. We really thank you for your brief remarks. They're impactful, powerful, provide some kind of direction for where we are all headed. Thank you for participating today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thank you all very much, and have a great homecoming, and I look forward to seeing you all here in person next year for sure.
All right, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.
And, and part of what the president was talking about was his strategic plan. A number of us were asking where you could actually see a summary of that strategic plan. There's a link on the chart. If you just scroll up a little bit, you're going to see the link to the charts. It will give you access to everything, the 7 priorities the president has mentioned, and every other, addendum to each of those key priorities. Now we're going to transition now to go talk to introduce. I'm going to go introduce the Vice President for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Julian Williams, and a little of his bio. Julian Williams is the University of South Carolina's first Vice President for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. He serves as the university's Chief Diversity Officer and is overseeing the evolution of the Office of Diversity and Inclusion in the Provost of Office, right? This office is actually transitioning to a VP type level under the president. So he's transitioning it from the Provost Office down to the President's Office. And reporting directly to the president, he's responsible for providing vision and leadership for diversity and inclusion efforts across the university and within the university's curriculum, infrastructure, policies, and programs. Before joining the University of South Carolina, he served as the Vice President for Compliance, Diversity, and Ethics at George Mason University in Fairfax, Virginia, and as Director of Equal Opportunity and Title IX Officer at Vassar University in Poughkeepsie in New York. A native of Michigan, he earned a bachelor's degree in English from the University of Michigan and a Juris Doctor from Michigan State University College of Law. In addition, he's a member of the National Association of Diversity Officers in Higher Education and previously served as president of the organization's Mid-Atlantic chapter. Welcome, VP Williams. You may have the floor.
Thank you so much, Dr. Anumbe, and good afternoon to everybody. It is awesome to spend some time this afternoon with my people. I think sometimes, especially during the pandemic, we have to sort of be intentional about sort of recharging with each other as Black folks. And I'm thankful to the Black Alumni Council for putting this together, for Chanel's leadership. I look forward to working with this group and partnering with each of you and working on your behalf, sort of moving forward. And I am excited to be a part of this community and this university. Extremely humbled by the opportunity that I have as serving as this university's first vice president for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it is not lost on me that we are all sort of walking in the footsteps of Henri Monteith Treadwell and Robert Anderson and James Solomon and Richard T. Greener and all of those folks. Even though I didn't attend this university for my formal education, I still feel all of their legacies. And I thank each of you for being involved and being active. And I really appreciate the advocacy from you all's perspective for our students, for our faculty and staff as well. So I just wanted to just take a little bit of time as sort of talk through, tell you a little bit about who I am, and I'll keep that really brief, but from the great state of Michigan, but I'm really a product of opportunity. And I think President Caslen mentioned that. If it wasn't for a group of Black students at the University of Michigan that were in charge of the Black Volunteer Network coming into my high school at 15 and 16, taking me from my high school to the university during MLK weekend and showing me what's possible, showing me that I would have a community there, showing me that there were Black students that were thriving on this flagship university PWI campus. And I think about students like myself that are growing up in the shadow of our university, students from Columbia or South Carolina in general that have never been or spent time at the University of South Carolina, that we have to serve better as the state's flagship university. And I look forward to doing so. As the president mentioned, a tremendous part of my priorities are going to be thinking about how we're increasing pipelines and pathways for African-American students and faculty at this university. Thinking about how we're infusing inclusive leadership and inclusive accountability within that space as well. I believe that in the current movement and that we find ourselves in is that our community is asking more from us, that our students, faculty, and staff are asking more from us as a university. And I think one way that we get to that space is we've got to sort of fully reckon with our past, fully reckon with our history, take active and proactive steps to make sure that our campus is affirming and affirms all of our students and their backgrounds and their history, but also using that past and that history, learning about it, studying it, and utilizing that to chart a path forward for us. So in my 4 months here at the university, I've been really struck by the welcome that myself and my wife, Tmeria, have received. It's been amazing and excellent. And one of the things folks are always asking is sort of, Julian, what can we do for you? What do you need? And I want to sort of just spend a little bit of time there, but in case that question comes up, I always thank folks. But I think one of the things that this group can continue to do is kind of as it has been doing, is getting involved in your university, taking out time to mentor students, thinking about internship opportunities that may exist at your employer or at your workplace, and using those opportunities to connect students with opportunities, particularly Black and African American students as well. Supporting the Richard T. Greener Scholarship. So right before I got on, I made sure that I contributed did my part to support the scholarship. I do not want to get on Chanel's bad side or have her track me down. So, but it's for obviously an amazing cause. But I think each of you, what will really help me tremendously is your continued involvement and activity, your continued holding our leadership, our university accountable for serving you as alumni, for serving our students, particularly our Black and African American students. And I'll sort of close with this. One of the things that I have heard that isn't unfamiliar to me as a graduate of a flagship PWI is this feeling of invisibility. Particularly, I've heard that from our African American students and alumni in the 4 months I've been here, that they felt invisible on campus, that and I try to explain, especially to my peers and colleagues, what that means and what that feels like, because I remember that vividly, to be both seen and unseen at the same time. And I want to continue to work and do my work to help sort of bridge that gap and close that. And I think I've heard from students that have very much enjoyed their University of South Carolina experience, but also felt like they had to also endure that experience as well, endure whether they be societal forces or institutional forces. And sometimes we feel like we have to push against particularly as Black folks at predominantly white institutions and flagship university campuses. And I think for us, I believe we have a collective spirit and an opportunity now as a leadership team and as a university to bridge that gap. I hope that each of you will see yourselves as hopefully a conduit to change the trajectory of our students, particularly in thinking about what their experience is like, and hopefully improving that in an immense amount of ways. So I look forward to working on your behalf, working with you. I am thankful at this moment, and if I do have time, Dr. Anumbe, to take a couple of questions, but really just glad to be here, glad to spend some time with my people, and looking forward to being a part of the community.
Thank you, VP Williams. It's awesome actually listening to you. We appreciate you taking out some of your valuable time. I know you would always be busy around here to listen to us. So I'm going to ask if there's anyone that has any question, please type in those questions and we can pick them up. But so while I kind of wait for that, I just wanted to mention something that struck me when you were speaking, right? And it was that whole thing about, it was a fleeting comment, I would assume, but very impactful, to me. Said I explained to my colleagues when you were talking about the idea of Black students feeling invincible. So I just, I appreciate that because, speaking on your behalf, like speaking on people's behalf is something that I think is powerful. There's that saying about if you're not on the table, you risk being on the menu. We just appreciate the fact that we have our own people, right, on the table that can speak for us. I mean, some people get on the table, they actually don't speak. So the fact that you take out the time to explain to people, because some things are better experienced, right? You can only speak about them if you have really experienced them. Thank you so much for that. So I'm gonna go look at the questions. We have someone here, can't make out the name. She, I think all I can see right here is she. What kind of scholarship opportunities are available for children of alumni? Do we have anything like that? And then, yeah, what kind of, are there scholarships that are available for children of alumni right now?
Sure, and yeah, and I would, fortunately not the expert to speak to that, but can always track down that information as well. So I would ask that person that wrote the question to shoot me a quick email, and I might be able to dig some of that up. I'm sure there are scholarships out there that exist for the children of alums, but I would want to forward that, try to connect you with somebody in our
okay, yeah. So while you
office as well.
Yeah, while you speak, I actually see someone typing in something. I think it's Sherry that asked the question, and he says we have the legacy scholarship for members of the association. So check the comments section, Sherry, and you should be able to get some information there. And VP Williams has also included his email in case you might want to reach him for more information. So I think that's where we're going to draw it for this section. VP, we really, really appreciate you. Thank you very much. This is my first opportunity. I followed you, like I added you on LinkedIn, and you accepted immediately. And then this is my real opportunity first opportunity of talking to you. Thank you for your engagement with the council. We really do appreciate the work you do.
Dr. Anumbe, I really appreciate it. And I know that the folks in the Black Alumni Council got a chance to spend some time with my esteemed colleague, Dr. William Tate. I would like to issue a challenge. I believe that as great as that event was, I think that I might be able to even drive up some more traffic there. So we'll be happy to spend some time in any way, shape, or form with the council as well. So
all right,
issue that challenge as well.
Thanks
so much, y'all.
We do appreciate it. Thank you. That was VP Williams there. We really appreciate all of these dignitaries taking out the time to speak to us today. We're going to take a detour, and now we're going to go talk to an example, someone that's an example of what the Richard T. Grain Scholarship, has actually contributed to the community. There's this campaign 1801, and if you haven't heard of 1801, at some point in this program, you're going to hear about 1801, a call to action. So we're welcoming Karra McCray Karra McCray. She's actually a 2012 RTG scholar to take over the screen and speak to us. All right, Karra.
Hello and happy homecoming. My name is Karra McCray. I'm a 2016 Carolina graduate, and like he just said, I'm a 2012 recipient of the Richard T. Greener Scholarship. Although I received the scholarship over 8 years ago, the moral support and encouragement that I've gotten from the Black Alumni Council family has been endless. I'm forever grateful for them and thankful to have this opportunity to speak with you this afternoon. If you would have asked me 8 years ago where I would be today, I'm sure that just like most of you, this moment would not have been the answer. I definitely know that attending homecoming virtually was not in my plans. And to be honest, none of the things happening in my life right now were. But nonetheless, I am here and I am grateful. When I left Carolina 4 years ago, I had no clue where life would lead me, but I knew that I would be prepared for wherever it did lead me because of the sustenance given to me while I was enrolled as a student here. I grew up a bright-eyed student from rural Georgetown, South Carolina, with ambition, with tenacity, and a desire to leave the world a better place. Ever since elementary school, I had aspirations of attending college, but growing up with a single mom, money was scarce, and I know that she alone could not afford to send me. I received financial aid, but it was not enough to cover the total cost of tuition. And although I did receive other scholarships, unlike the others, the Richard T. Greener Scholarship was renewable for each of the 4 years that I was a student, providing me with the financial security that I needed to concentrate fully on my studies. Additionally, it seemed like when I was having a bad day and considering calling my mama to come and pick me up, I would receive a check-in from the Black Alumni Council staff. They would always ask how they could assist me and gave me motivation when I needed it most. It was that reassurance that gave me the extra push I needed to get through. After graduating, I went on to obtain a master's degree from Howard University, and I worked as an independent contractor with the Joint Center for Political and Economic Studies for a few months. I then ventured back to Columbia to work at the university, and I loved being back on campus. I was able to foster meaningful relationships with colleagues and worked very hard to ensure that each of the students that I worked with were best prepared for the real world. And while that work was rewarding, I knew that God required more of me. Inspired to do more, to be more, and to give more, I decided to go back to school to obtain a PhD in political science. I am currently in my first year at Brown University, where I am fully funded for up to 6 years. And yes, I am super proud of the things that I've done, but I know that I did not get to this point alone. As the African proverb proclaims, it takes a village. And those of you who generously give to Richard T. Greener have been a part of my village. However, I think it's imperative for you to know that your gift doesn't just stop with one individual. Through your gift, current and future scholars are able to live out their dreams, positively impact the world, and inspire the next generation. Led by passion, service, and hoping to lift others as I climb, I started a nonprofit in 2017 to assist students from my hometown with scholarship and professional development initiatives. To this day, we have given over $5,000 in scholarship to 5 graduates of Georgetown County schools. So please know that your donation is not just a donation. It is an investment. It is a good faith offering to the future leaders of South Carolina. It is telling a student that you believe in them and their gifts. It is security. It is easing a financial burden of a Black student who may already be facing other obstacles. It is lifting as you climb. It is leaving the door open for the next person to walk through. And most importantly, it is a commitment as a Gamecock family that our love, our loyalty, and our support is forever. Thank you so very much for all that you do for the students, for the Black Alumni Council, and this great university. Go Gamecocks and forever to be.
Thank you, Karra. That was a very inspirational one. Sherry here says, we're so grateful to have been able to assist you in your undergraduate experience at USC. Forever to thee. Nika White, forever to thee. Montez, forever. Bravo, Karra. Awesome. It's been an awesome one there. And what she's alluding to is the 1801 campaign, where we are committing to offering $18.01 every month. And you can go to the alumni site. You can find information about this. Every one of us would really, really want to donate to this. So we're going to look at the 2020 RTG scholar story from Andre Shaw. Andre. Yep, and yeah, 1801 or more. Okay, go ahead, Andre.
Hi, everyone. My name is Andre Shaw. I am a freshman here at USC, majoring in biochemistry and molecular biology. And I would like to just start by saying thank you to the Black Alumni Council for awarding me this scholarship. It really helps to ease the financial burden normally associated with attending college. A little bit about me. I'm from a small town called Loris, South Carolina, which is about 2 hours from Columbia. I have one brother who was just finishing his first year of high school as I graduated. My dad works as an account developer for Coca-Cola, and my mom is a compliance specialist in state government. My parents actually did go to college, but they did not finish for various financial reasons and family situations back home. My dad in particular was not able to meet the financial requirements, but also did not have the knowledge that others had in order to satisfy those requirements. My parents, they always quote the Bible scripture that says, people perish for the lack of knowledge. They have instilled this in me, and even though they went on to be pretty successful in their careers, they really pushed me to get my degree, knowing that they did not get the same opportunity. They always wanted me to go further in life, working smarter and not necessarily harder. In Loris, everyone pretty much knows everybody, and it paints a pretty good picture of the quoted Southern hospitality. And going to school, it was most likely that the people you were with in elementary school were the people you'll be finishing high school with. But I decided to take a different approach from that. Throughout school, studying in classes in general, they came pretty easily to me, and I couldn't really relate to classmates when they would talk about all the homework they had last night or how hard that test was. Eventually, in 8th grade, I got the opportunity to enroll at the Scholars Academy, which is a 4-year high school program that worked with my school district and Coastal Carolina University. It specializes in preparing students for college and has made me better equipped to handle the level of dedication needed to make a career. I'm currently in the Honors College, and the Scholars Academy gave me a sense of what it would be like because it itself had small class sizes and in-depth discussions between students, which helped to foster that growth of knowledge that we are striving for here in the Honors College as well. People always talk about how going from middle school to high school is a whole new experience, but going from middle school to scholars was on just a different level. My first year there was kind of rough with how rigorous it was, and I really had to start thinking about the best way to manage my time. But once I got kind of a grasp on that, I was able to develop some maturity and responsibility. And the program itself introduced me to different backgrounds and viewpoints that have expanded my awareness, much like college here has done. I was still able to do extracurriculars at my base school, which kind of alleviated some of the stress that came with the work. I was a part of my base school's marching band in my 4 years of high school, and I decided to continue that here at USC. I remember getting this red drum set for Christmas when I was little, and ever since I've really liked playing the drums and also just listening to good music in general. I'm currently on the drum line here in the Carolina band, and as most of you may know, we just got a big win over Auburn yesterday, so we were pretty excited about that playing in the stands. Another thing with scholars is that it allowed me to take college classes on Coastal Carolina's campus, and I believe that helped a lot when it came to adjusting to college. Though I'm thankful for what scholars did for my overall learning experience, it wasn't the most diverse place. I was oftentimes the only Black person in my classes, and that's kind of spilled over here at USC, as there's still not that many relative to the entire student population. Being an African American first generation college student presents its own set of challenges, but I didn't want to let this stop me from coming here, as I've always been a fan of the Gamecock football and wanted to attend USC. And I thought that going to scholars would give me the best opportunity to get accepted so that I could pursue my dream of going into the medical field. I wanted to be a doctor for as long as I can remember. Another one of my childhood memories is receiving this little doctor's bag for Christmas. And the idea of being a doctor has just been in my head ever since. And now I'm even more sure that I want to go into the medical field based on the fact that there are not many people who look like me doing what I want to do. As of right now, I'm planning on becoming a doctor of anesthesiology. So I'm focused on building my resume to get into medical school. And Karra, she kind of stole my flow. As I've grown up, my parents have liked to use the phrase, it takes a village, which goes perfectly in line with the sense of community I got from back home at Loras. The idea of potentially going back home to serve the community with my knowledge in the future would be a dream come true. I think it'd be great to repay that Southern hospitality that I grew up with. So that's pretty much all about me. And once again, I just want to say thank you to the Black Alumni Council. I really do appreciate you guys selecting me, and I will continue to put forth my best efforts in the future. Go Cox.
Thank you, Andrea. That was just inspirational. I'm looking at the comment section here. Everyone is kind of blowing off. We're so proud of you and know that you will continue to do great things. Excellent, Andrew. Sure. And someone gave you a shout. I think it was Montez, former marching band alum here. We're really very proud of you. And you know what I find really inspiring about this is this is like you have a matching fund. Karra has already gone on to set up something, has already given away 5,000. Andrea, I can hear you saying you also want to pay it forward. Please, every single donation that you make is actually going to be matched by somebody in the future. Please, let's make this go viral. So, I mean, if you go up there, you're going to see the links to make donations. And it's not just 1801. That's the symbolism that is being used here. You can do 1801 every month. You can pay a lump sum, or you can actually give us $100 million. That wouldn't be a bad idea, right? Please, let's keep it coming. So we have the 2018 RTG scholar story. We want to get some kind of update. Sukanya Bradshaw. So someone says, okay, Nika, I've already given to RTG this year, but if there's at least one person today doing this segment, we'll be able to give $500. I would match it. Oh, so Nika has already given before, but she's actually willing to do a match for $500. Please, if you want to offer $500 to get that match, please reach out to Nika, type in on the comment section. We would really appreciate that. Sukanya, is Sukanya ready?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sukanya Bratcher, and I'm the 2018 recipient of the Richard T. Greener Scholarship. When I received the scholarship 3 years ago, I was a senior in high school that had no idea where I was going, and I had no idea how I was getting to college. And this scholarship is really what pivoted me in my decision to come to the university. I honestly had no interest in coming to USC, but I wouldn't even have given it a second thought. And as soon as I got this scholarship, that's when all the doors started opening for me. So honestly, all I can say to that is I've been blessed. So in the past year, my biggest update is I've finally began pharmacy school. I'm even wearing my white coat today.
Awesome.
Oh yeah. Um, which I wouldn't even have an opportunity to wear this white coat had I not received this scholarship. So that's my biggest blessing of the year. And pharmacy school is certainly like one of the hardest things I've ever done, especially with everything being online. It's very hard to focus on pharmacy courses when everything is being taught online. It's basically like I'm kind of teaching myself, but I'm going to get through it. I'm going to succeed. I have way too many people supporting me like you all, and I have worked too hard to let this beat me. So that being said, that's all I really have to say. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and thank you for allowing me to speak well, not this morning, but today. And yeah, thank you for opening so many doors for me. I will not let them close. And y'all have a great day.
Thank you, Sukenya. That's beautiful, short, straight to the point, and I mean, there's that emotional part to it. So I'm seeing a lot of people that are really, really proud of you, best wishes, and all of that. We are the white coat, my sisters. Folks are really, really, really proud of you here. Thank you, and we hope to hear some more about you in the future. And what I find very revealing about what she has just done now was that she said the only reason why she came to the University of South Carolina is because she got the funding. And I've been in a lot of discussions about the issue of, representation of minority students in USC, and the whole issue always comes back to scholarship funding and all of that, which is, if we really want, to attract more Black students here, we really need to go out there and get some money. So I'm going to open up the floor for the next 2019 RTG scholar, Tmeria Brown. Tmeria Brown, are you on? Go ahead, take the floor.
Good afternoon to you all. My name is Tmeria Brown. I'm a public health major, and I am a 2019 recipient of the Richard T. Greener Scholarship. I just want to say thank you all for allowing me to speak on another year on behalf of the Richard T. Greener Scholarship. And my family, the idea of college was kind of pushed onto me and my twin sister and I. All my mom wanted was to see her twin girls succeed in life. So you can imagine the excitement she got when we got the phone call that I was awarded the scholarship. Being awarded the scholarship was truly a blessing because it helped alleviate some of the financial stress of my mother. Like I said before, I have a twin sister, so you can imagine the relief the scholarship gave us. This scholarship was, it helped continue my journey as a Gamecock. The support that I was given by the Black Alumni Council was amazing. I am truly grateful for that. I am extremely blessed and thankful for this opportunity. With it being my second year at USC, I can say that I am truly impressed with what I've seen, and I am proud to say that I am a Gamecock. My first year ended as a success because I ended the spring semester on the dean's list. This year has been somewhat of a struggle because all my classes are online. So yeah, even though it has been a hassle, I am trying my hardest to persevere and in this semester with all A's. I'm taking a full course load of classes and working a part-time job. So that also has been, a true eye-opener because it's giving me a little sneak peek at what the real world is actually like. At the moment, I am in a few community service organizations, such as Alpha Phi Omega. I plan to join some more organizations during my time at USC, and it will forever be a privilege to be awarded this scholarship. And again, I just want to say thank you for allowing me to be present at this panel.
Tmeria, we're really proud of you. Go for it. Go with the A's. I mean, you're going to smash it this year. Yeah. So we are almost on the clock, man. We have another event starting by 1 p.m. Remember, we're going to have like the virtual brunch where everyone can actually interact. We have a DJ and all of that. So I'm handing over this to the president, Chanel Singletary. We are right on the clock. Chanel, please take it away.
Thank you, Dr. Noble. Good afternoon. My name is Chanel Singletary, 2020-2021 U of SC Black Alumni Council Chair. On behalf of Black Alumni Council, thank you everyone for attending our virtual Richard T. Greener Black Excellence Brunch. It was so inspiring to hear success stories from our Richard T. Greener scholars and how the scholarship has benefited them throughout their college experience at U of SC. We hope that you also enjoy the presentation of our U of SC President, Bob Caslen, our Vice President of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Mr. Julian Williams, and our special guest, U of SC Provost, Dr. William F. Tate, and Richard T. Greener, past and present scholars. I would also like to thank our 2020 Homecoming Committee co-chairs, Dr. Nika White and Dominique Sawyer, for their vision to making this virtual Homecoming 2020 weekend a success. I also like to thank Dr. Noble for serving as our moderator for this afternoon, and our Black Alumni Council members and our fabulous U of SC Alumni Association liaison, Simone Keller, for your wisdom and your vision and support for making this event a success. I would like to conclude for everyone to please donate, if you can, to our Richard T. Greener Scholarship Fund. This scholarship gives students an opportunity to attend U of SC and obtain a four-year degree. This scholarship, you hear from our current and even current and also former scholarship recipients, how the scholarship has really benefited them and to achieve their personal goals as well as their future goals. So if you can commit the minimum $18 a month, or you can do our annual donation of $216.72, anything that you can help toward the scholarship will be very beneficial. And to kick off, I will put it back on Dr. Noble as he will transition our brunch to our after party to celebrate our contributions this year for the Black Alumni Council. Again, thank you for attending our brunch.
Thank you, President. We really appreciate you with those closing remarks. And I wanted to mention that someone, Robin Steele, has actually matched the $500 that Dr. Nika White offered. Thank you so much. Please clap wherever you are. I know you can. We can hear you clap. Please clap, clap, and celebrate him. Thank you so much. So you would have received a link for the virtual brunch. And if you haven't signed up, just, I don't know if the links are still open, but if you have the links, please jump into the next event. We're going to have a DJ. There's going to be more celebration, connection, and all of that. Go Gamecocks.